What teaching experience do you have, and how have you developed your skills over time?
I have X years of experience teaching Y subject at grade level. Over time, I have honed my skills by attending professional development workshops, collaborating with colleagues, and reflecting on my own practice.
How do you approach creating lesson plans and aligning them with educational standards and learning objectives?
I start by identifying the learning objectives and standards that I want my students to achieve, and then I design my lesson plans around them. I try to incorporate a variety of teaching strategies and activities to keep my students engaged and ensure that they are meeting the intended objectives.
Can you explain your experience with incorporating technology into your teaching methods?
I have experience using X technology tool or platform in my classroom to enhance student learning. For example, I have used interactive whiteboards to create engaging lessons, or online learning platforms to provide students with additional resources and opportunities for practice.
How do you differentiate instruction and accommodate the needs of diverse learners in your classroom?
I assess my students' learning needs and preferences, and then I use a variety of teaching strategies and materials to meet those needs. This might include providing differentiated assignments, offering additional support or enrichment activities, or adapting my teaching style to accommodate different learning styles.
Can you discuss your experience with creating and implementing assessments to measure student learning?
I have experience creating and administering a variety of assessments, including formative and summative assessments. I believe that assessments should be aligned with learning objectives, and that they should provide valuable feedback to both students and teachers.
How do you approach classroom management and creating a positive learning environment?
I believe that classroom management is about creating a positive learning environment where students feel safe, respected, and engaged. I establish clear expectations and consequences, and I use positive reinforcement to encourage good behavior. I also try to foster a sense of community in my classroom by promoting collaboration and teamwork among my students.
Can you explain your experience with parent-teacher communication and collaboration?
I have experience communicating with parents through regular email updates, parent-teacher conferences, and open houses. I believe that strong communication with parents is essential to a child's success.
How do you approach teaching students with special needs or learning disabilities?
I approach teaching students with special needs or learning disabilities by creating a differentiated learning environment and using a variety of teaching strategies to accommodate different learning styles.
Can you discuss your experience with collaborating with other teachers and staff members to promote student success?
I have collaborated with other teachers and staff members through professional learning communities and team planning meetings to promote student success. I believe that teamwork is essential to create a positive and effective learning environment.
How do you approach teaching controversial or sensitive topics in the classroom?
I approach teaching controversial or sensitive topics in the classroom by creating a safe and respectful environment for open discussion and providing multiple perspectives to promote critical thinking and understanding.
Can you explain your experience with project-based learning and inquiry-based instruction?
I have experience implementing project-based learning and inquiry-based instruction in my classroom. I believe that these methods promote student engagement, collaboration, and critical thinking skills.
How do you approach teaching students from culturally diverse backgrounds and promoting cultural sensitivity and awareness?
I approach teaching students from culturally diverse backgrounds by creating a welcoming and inclusive environment that values and respects diversity. I use culturally responsive teaching strategies to promote cultural sensitivity and awareness.
Can you discuss your experience with using data and analytics to inform your teaching practices and improve student outcomes?
I have experience using data and analytics to inform my teaching practices and improve student outcomes. I use assessment data to identify student strengths and weaknesses and adjust instruction accordingly. I also use data to set goals and monitor progress toward those goals.
How do you approach professional development and staying up to date with the latest teaching trends and technologies?
I attend workshops, conferences, and engage in online communities to stay current with the latest teaching trends and technologies. I also read professional literature and collaborate with colleagues to share ideas and best practices.
Can you explain your experience with implementing positive behavior interventions and supports, PBIS, in the classroom?
I have implemented PBIS in my classroom by establishing clear expectations, reinforcing positive behavior, and providing individualized support for students who need it. This approach has helped create a positive and productive learning environment.
How do you approach teaching critical thinking and problem-solving skills to students?
I approach teaching critical thinking and problem-solving skills by providing opportunities for students to analyze and synthesize information, ask questions, and apply their knowledge to real-world scenarios. I also encourage collaboration and discussion to facilitate the development of these skills.
Can you discuss your experience with teaching literacy and language development to students?
I have experience teaching literacy and language development to students by incorporating a variety of reading materials and instructional strategies that are appropriate for their reading level and language proficiency. I also differentiate instruction and provide individualized support to meet the needs of each student.
How do you approach teaching students with different levels of academic ability and achievement?
I approach teaching students with different levels of academic ability and achievement by differentiating instruction to meet their individual needs. This may include providing additional support for struggling students, challenging advanced students with enrichment activities, and providing opportunities for students to work at their own pace.
Can you explain your experience with incorporating social-emotional learning, SEL, into your teaching practices?
I have incorporated social-emotional learning, SEL, into my teaching practices by creating a safe and supportive classroom environment, teaching self-awareness and self-regulation, promoting positive relationships, and providing opportunities for students to practice problem-solving and decision-making skills.
How do you approach teaching students to become responsible digital citizens and promoting online safety?
I approach teaching students to become responsible digital citizens and promoting online safety by modeling appropriate online behavior, teaching them to evaluate online sources critically, and providing guidance on how to stay safe online. I also incorporate digital citizenship and online safety into the curriculum.
Can you discuss your experience with creating and implementing classroom rules and consequences?
As a teacher, I always involve my students in the process of creating classroom rules and consequences. I believe that involving students in the process of creating rules promotes a sense of ownership and responsibility in the classroom.
How do you approach teaching students to be self-directed learners and take ownership of their education?
I approach teaching students to be self-directed learners by giving them choices in their learning and allowing them to set their own goals. This approach helps them to take ownership of their education and become more responsible for their learning.
Can you explain your experience with using differentiated instruction to teach students at different levels of readiness?
As a teacher, I have used differentiated instruction to meet the diverse needs of my students. This approach involves modifying the content, process, or product of learning to suit the learning needs and styles of different students.
How do you approach providing feedback and assessing student work to promote growth and learning?
I approach providing feedback and assessing student work by focusing on growth and improvement rather than grades. This approach helps to promote a growth mindset and encourages students to learn from their mistakes and strive for continuous improvement.
Can you discuss your experience with collaborating with parents and caregivers to support student success outside of the classroom?
Collaborating with parents and caregivers is an essential part of promoting student success. I involve parents and caregivers by providing regular updates on student progress and seeking their input on ways to support student learning outside of the classroom.
Why is it worth subscribing to our YouTube channel?
Our YouTube channel offers valuable insights on common job interview questions, effective answers, and tips to help you ace your interview and land your dream job. Subscribe now.